Good morning, everyone. So this week we are going to learn about our ocean unit, right? We talked last week about Earth, and most of the Earth's surface is covered in water, and all of that water, or most of that water, is our oceans. And we have 5 oceans on the planet Earth. We have the Pacific, the Atlantic, the Indian, the Arctic, and the Southern. So we have 5 big oceans on our Earth. And in our oceans, there are lots and lots of living things in our oceans, right? Here's a picture of living things in our ocean. So we have fish and coral are living things. This is a coral reef where you find lots of different fish and animals in the coral reef. So before I read my story, like I said, many things are found in the ocean. When you walk on the beach, sometimes you find shells, right, that you pick up. So I found a couple of my favorite shells that my family and I have collected over the years, but the bigger items. Because usually when you're on the beach, you find little shells, not normally big things. Like here's one of the shells that we found on the beach. It's a little bit bigger, but it was a nice, good condition. So that was one of my shells. And sometimes hermit crabs like to crawl inside these shells and then make a home for themselves. So there's one of my shells. And then also remember starfish, they live in the sea. And here's one when you know it's a star because it looks like a star and it has 5 points. And on the back are their like tube feet, and that's how they get around in the ocean. So we have a starfish. I had my shell that sometimes hermit crabs find and live in. And then in my picture that I showed you was coral that is in a coral reef. Now this coral is usually when it's in the water though, when it's alive, it's colorful. It's not white like this. It could be pink, it could be orange, it could be yellow, but this is coral that was found from the ocean. So that's a nice piece of coral. Sometimes you can find broken pieces of this on the beach, like only like a piece of that. And then there's also, so we had a starfish, but this is called a sand dollar. So there's kind of like a star on the sand dollar. So you can still see kind of like a star in the 4 points, but it's always in this kind of shape. And then this is the back here, and that's how they breathe. You can kind of see a star there. And then my last one is that I usually bring in the classroom so you can hold it up to your ear. This is called a big conch shell. Look how big that shell is. It's a big conch shell, and you can hold it up to your ear and listen for the ocean. So that's a conch shell. So these are some things that you can find in the ocean. But you can also find lots of sea creatures in the ocean, right? So I'm going to read a story, and let's talk about and see some of the sea creatures that live in the ocean. So on my cover are fish, right? But not fish are the only things that live in the ocean. So let's see what else lives in the ocean. And here at the bottom is all the coral. See how it's all colorful? It's not white. It's always usually more colorful when it's living in the ocean. So sea creatures. Lots of amazing creatures live in the sea. Some are large and some are small. Some live deep in the ocean and some live along the shore. The sea is home to animals of all sorts of different colors, shapes, sizes, and patterns. So look here, we have the starfish are here. We have a bunch of fish. There's a shark, a turtle, and I think that's a different type of fish right there. So lots of different things live in the sea. And I like how it said some are big, some are small, some are in different shapes and patterns. And I'm sure most of us have seen these before. What's that? That's a manatee, right? You see manatees all the time in Florida. Manatees are mammals. They cannot breathe underwater and come up to the surface for air. They use their flippers to crawl along the seabed. Manatees talk to each other or communicate by squealing. They are gentle creatures and like to play. They even kiss each other. So there are manatees. That's our first sea mammal, right? And we'll talk later about some mammals. Ooh, what's this? We've learned about him for the number 8 because it has 8 legs. It's called an octopus. Octopus have 8 long arms called tentacles, and they're covered in suckers. They use their tentacles to grip onto rocks and other surfaces and to catch food. When attacked, they shoot black ink at their enemies. They can also hide by changing their skin color to match their surroundings, called camouflage. So here's our octopus. And what's this guy? A seahorse, right? Seahorses are small creatures that are a type of fish. So they're a type of fish. Some are only 13 inches long, so that's really little. And they swim using their fins along their back to help them move. So their fins are almost like wings on their back to help them move. The female lays her eggs in the male's pouch. So a seahorse is almost like a kangaroo. They have a pouch where they hold the eggs in it. And they stay in the pouch until the eggs are ready to hatch. So we know it's not a mammal because it hatches out of an egg. Ooh, this is called a barracuda. It's a type of fish. It looks scary, but it doesn't bite humans. Barracudas live in warm seas. Their long body helps them to move fast in search of prey. They have strong jaws and lots of sharp teeth. They are carnivores and eat smaller fish. They have, and I won't read that last part. Ooh, this is called an angelfish. That's a pretty colorful fish. So angelfish are very colorful. The young fish often has a different pattern and color from the adult. So I guess this is the adult fish. I don't know if that's a baby fish or that still looks the same. They live among the coral reefs, so they live among the coral, and their coloring camouflages them so they can swim safely through the corals without being spotted by predators. Remember, predators are things that would want to eat them. So that's why they camouflage, so that their predators won't see them. When we learned about these guys, when we talked about the Arctic, what is that? A seal, right? Seals look clumsy on land, but they are very good swimmers and move fast through the water. A layer of fat called blubber keeps the seals warm in cold seas. Baby seals or pups are very playful. And remember, we learned also that the baby seal was called a pup. These are called sea anemones. They kind of look like starfish, but they're not. Those are sea anemones. They look like plants, but they're a type of animal. They are brightly colored with long, wavy tentacles and have a mouth in the middle of their body, so that's their mouth there. Sea anemones attach themselves to coral and rocks and use their tentacles to catch their prey. So they would use those to reach out and catch their prey. They're carnivores and eat small fish, shrimp, and crabs. So sea anemones. Kind of a hard word to say. Whoa, our last guy. I think that's our last one, yep. What's that? A shark. They are fierce predators and eat other sea animals. They swim in the open sea as well as along coasts and reefs. They have huge, strong jaws and several rows of sharp teeth. If they lose a tooth, another one quickly grows back in its place. So our last one is the shark. And then a couple other animals that weren't mentioned in the book were, let's see what I got. We have dolphins also live in the ocean, but they're a mammal, right? Because mammals are not hatched out of eggs. They are born live from their moms. And I forget, they breathe air, and I'm trying to remember the other one. I can't think of it right now, but we'll talk about it later in the week, what makes them a mammal besides a fish. Then we have a sea turtle, right? There are sea turtles in the ocean, and then lots and lots of different kinds of these ones, but this one is a blue whale. So there's lots of different whales found in the ocean. We have the blue whale, we have an orca that looks like Shamu, we have a humpback whale, so there's lots of different whales that live in the ocean, and whales also have that big layer of fat at the bottom called blubber to keep them warm in cold waters. So this week we're going to be talking about the ocean, and just like we talked about during Earth Week, it's important that we keep our oceans clean, because oceans are very important to us here on Earth, because they give us a source of food, because, right, we can eat shrimp, we can eat fish, and it is what's mostly on our planet, right? Water covers most of the Earth, so it's our job to keep it clean and healthy. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about this week. The ocean. Next, we're going to sort ocean and non-ocean animals, and then we're going to talk about the difference between mammals and fish, and then do some other fun activities that involve ocean animals. All right, I will see you soon. Bye, guys.